You can't take 3 from 2. 2 is less than 3, so you look at the 4 in the tens place. Now that's really 4 tens, so you make it 3 tens, regroup, and you change a 10 to 10 ones, and you add to the 2 and get 12, and you take away 3, that's 9. Is that clear? Now instead of 4 in the tens place, you've got 3 because you added 1, that is to say 10 to the 2, but you can't take 7 from 3, so you look in the hundreds place. From the 3 you then use 1 to make 10 ones, and you know why 4 plus minus 1 plus 10...
Welcome. Hi ladies, thank you so much for coming today. We're here because I would like to share with you the kind of math that your children are doing in school every day. Now you know how to do math. You've been doing math your whole life, right? You've been adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. In your everyday life you have been. You learn to do it a certain way you do it. You may not know the degree and angle measures. You may not remember what an obtuse triangle is, but you haven't had to use that. My name's Joan Berland. I'm a 3rd grade teacher at the Chancellor Elementary Living School in Rhinebeck, New York.
Ms. Berland, this past fall, came to me with her project that she had in mind for this year.
Because I think I was just born without a math gene. I think it's the only grade that I ever got a D in. I remember 5th grade, I got a D in math, and then I had to take the pre-calculus regents because I failed it the first time, and I had to do it over, and I had to get tutored in college math at the most basic level, and I think with intensive tutoring I got a C.
The way in which math has been traditionally taught is the fact that it's rote. We do it but we don't know why. We don't know what it means. We just produce an answer.
And it's terrifying to me.
It is terrifying to you.
Terrifying. I just don't get it.
Because I'm the kind of parent who, learned the traditional way of doing math, and my son is doing everyday mathematics, and I'm really struggling with it. It's really hard for me to do it because it's just not the way I learned it, and I don't really understand it.
Do you think any of it has to do with the method of teaching? Like you learned, how did you learn? By the typical rote method? Do you think that this method now being taught today might be different if you were taught that when you were young?
Perhaps. I went to Chancellor Livingston School. I grew up in Rhinebeck, and I went through the system, and I don't know what the name of the math they were teaching then was. I guess it was just the basic math that anyone over 40 learned.
She felt as if through the years she's experiencing enough parents who have difficulty with the way math is being taught.
When you meet with the parents, what do they say to you about their children's math and their homework? And what are you hearing from them typically?
Well, basically all the parents are discussing with me are the kids' grades. Like, why did they get an A or why did they get a B?
And she tries to explain it to them by sending home worksheets, but the parents often will say, well, I ended up teaching my child the way I was taught. So in order to address that, she thought of the idea of trying to create some lessons that could be videoed that parents might then want to have access to, so that if they're questioning in terms of how do I go about teaching a certain method of multiplication, that they could refer to the video as background information.
Every now and then on a homework assignment I'll get a note that says, so-and-so didn't understand how to do this, or I didn't understand how to do this.
A whole different language, and some of it I'm trying to grasp, and other times I'm just so set in my old ways. When I help them with homework, I find myself, going head on with them.
But it's never, can I come in, can we talk about this, I'd love to learn how to do this. It's just this kind of, it's your problem, your school, your math, you teach it at school, so fix it.
I don't really know, because to me, it's so daunting. My kids try to teach me these new funny ways that Mrs. Berland teaches my daughter Sarah. And she's like, Mommy, it's so easy. You just count on your fingers and you do this and you do that. And my eyes cross and I just say, I just don't get it.
I'm happy to fix it. And I've pretty much told them that all along. If you, after a half hour, if the children can't do it, send me a note and send it back to school. So I've kind of been taking the onus off of them and the responsibility, and I feel a little bit like I need to put it back on them, because some parents have 3 or 4 kids going through the school, and they're going to be seeing this every year.
So when Mrs. Berland said that she was doing this today, I was really excited because I thought I could learn how to do multiplication the way my son is going to learn how to do it, and maybe I can really help him instead of struggling with him. So that's why I'm here today.
I want them to have an open dialogue and not, an upset, not a frustration. I want the parents and the children to be able to share their excitement. The interesting thing about third grade math is it really is math that you're going to use for the rest of your life. You are going to use fractions. You need to know that when you're writing money that it's a decimal sign and what those cents actually mean, and you need to know how to multiply. So today you're here to not just learn how to multiply, but face your fears, those things that are getting in the way of you when you sit down at night and you're doing math with your children who come and say, I don't understand how to do this. And you think, well, didn't Mrs. Berlin teach you how to do that today? I'm sure she must have, because why would you have it for homework? Instead, you're going to be able to go, I know how to do that. Here, come sit down, honey. Let me show you. And
That'll be great.
wouldn't that be nice? That's a great.
I immediately saw the value of that because not just where she teaches for third grade, but also so many other grade levels, parents have the same concerns about the contemporary way contemporary math is being taught.
I sent a note home to everybody. I sent 20 notes home, and I told the parents that I was going to be doing the show, and it was based around multiplication, that there are 3 ways that children are going to learn how to do it. And I said, I really want people who are fearful of math, who have thought they were never good at math, they're never going to be good at math, or sitting down and doing homework time has been a real struggle, and they'd like to get more comfortable with it and make friends. And 4 people responded. They're all women, just by chance. They all don't think they're very good at math. Michelle, if you don't mind sharing with us for a second, at math, at homework time, if Emily comes to you and says, I don't understand something, how do you feel inside about that, or when you look at the math, what's your reaction to that?
I'll first look at the math, and right away I go right back to the memory bank of how I did it. And I'll look at how she's working on it. And I might take a few seconds to try to get it her way, and then I find myself trying to say, well, if you do it this way, you'll get the answer. I have a son who's 11, who's in 5th grade, and my daughter Emily is in 3rd. They both have had the wonderful opportunity to be with Mrs. Berland as a teacher, and we have been involved as a family in this new math, and I've been finding it a whole different language, and some of it I'm trying to grasp, and other times I'm just so set in my old ways. When I help them with homework, I find myself, going head on with them about the math. So I was really excited when Mrs. Berlin told us that she was going to, do a program like this to help us parents get it or try to understand it.
I mean, if you know that math time's coming around, and you see Sarah sitting over there, and she's, Mom, you hear that voice, what happens inside of you?
I panic.
Yeah?
She's learned not to ask me.
Well, thank you for coming today for 2 reasons. I thank you on behalf of your children, who I know you love very much, and that you want to help. And I thank you because even as adults, we forget that we need to face our fears. Because if we're afraid of something, then we tend to not deal with it. And it always, just think about the times in your life when something's been really hard for you and you've faced it and you've overcome it. It gives you this kind of strength, like you want to put a notch on your belt. Say, yeah, I can do that. Well, that's what it's like for your children. We have these moments. This is one of the wonderful things about teaching. There's many of them, but one of the things that I love is I'm sitting out there, there's a sea of faces, and I'm up here, and I've made all these plans and I have all these ideas of what I want to do, and I go up to the board and I write everything out. And I look over there and there's complete, they're just like, I have no idea what she's talking about. And then I go, okay, well, let me say it another way. And so I say it, all of a sudden I'll look up and there's a glimmer of hope somewhere, and then all of a sudden you see, it's almost as if somebody is lighting up from within. It's just, and they've got it. And I'll go, oh, I just saw a light bulb go off. And like, yeah, and then mine's going off too, and mine's going up too. And that's what you're hoping for. I mean, as a teacher, you hope, you don't have this expectation. I never have an expectation when I walk into a class that they're going to know how to do it. And they do. You don't realize that. But they sit here and they look like they should know the answer. And I go, but if you knew it, you'd be the teacher. You wouldn't be sitting in that seat there. I said, you're here to learn. So give yourself permission, A, to make mistakes. If you don't understand something, please ask for help. I'll say it another way. So that's just the basic premise for learning, and I think that's really great. So please do that today. Be that. If you don't understand anything, I don't care at what point it is, let me finish my breath or my sentence and then say, wait a minute, and then let me know at which point you understand up to, and then where it just completely falls apart for you, and I'll say it as many ways as I need to. Now, the thing I want to say for starters is you already know how to multiply.